Let me, first of all, welcome you all. I can see some familiar faces. Bula Vinaka, and good morning to all of you. I'm very pleased to be here to open this workshop because I have been part of these issues: disaster risk management, economic impact on natural disasters. I remember doing a report as part of the Australian government's initiative back in 2005, which I see still being quoted, the economic impact of natural disasters in the Pacific. Naturally, these kinds of workshop reports interest me personally. I wish to acknowledge the efforts of the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure and the Asian Disaster Preparedness Center. Thank you for working and getting this report. We, like many other small island developing states, face extreme threats to our people and economy due to the increasing impacts of the climate crisis. The discussion on the disastrous economic impact of natural disasters in the Pacific is not new. Each climate change exacerbated disaster event, be it a cyclone, flood, or earthquake, threatens lives and livelihoods, damages our infrastructure and environment. These events also hamper our efforts to develop, maintain efforts to improve public services due to the significant and often largely unplanned burden that disaster response places on our national budget. As a result, we face a range of direct and indirect implications in the aftermath of a disaster event. And the implications of those events can be felt for years, if not for decades, especially when significant debt is incurred to support response, recovery, and reconstruction. Recent studies conducted by the IMF have concluded that the increasing frequency and severity of disasters experienced in Pacific Island countries raises significant concerns relating to the ability to maintain economic stability in the face of extreme climate events. As highlighted in the World Bank's climate risk country profile, Fiji is one of the most climate vulnerable nations globally. The cost is not only physical or emotional, it is profoundly fiscal as well. In the past 7 years alone, we've spent over $600 million on recovery and rehabilitation efforts. This stark figure is not just a line item in our national accounts. It reflects disrupted communities, lost productivity, diverted resources from health, education, and public investment. Our voice on climate finance, in particular, has been consistently strong on the global stage, and not just about responding to disasters. It is about building the infrastructure that will withstand them. For example, our National Development Plan 2025-2029 and Vision 2050 makes it very clear. Every road, seaport, airport, water, wastewater, and energy system must be designed for the climate realities of tomorrow, and not just based on the patterns of yesterday. That is why Fiji and all of us in the Pacific have been calling for climate finance that is accessible, predictable, and scaled to meet our urgent needs. That's the most important aspect of our advocacy globally. We need grants, highly concessional and innovative financing solutions that enable us to invest now in resilient, low-carbon infrastructure rather than pay the far greater cost of rebuilding after each disaster. So fiscal resilience is not just a financial concern, it is central to sustainable development, social stability, and protecting our hard-won development gains. Every dollar invested in resilient infrastructure is a dollar saved in disaster recovery. And it is the smartest, most cost-effective investment we can make. Like we say, better to build bridges that endure than to repair them after the river breaks its banks. So this report toward resilient public finance, national assessment of disaster risk in infrastructure sectors in Fiji that we are considering today, I think is a result of a timely and strategic initiative, one that should speak directly to Fiji's reality of disaster-related fiscal risk across critical infrastructure, including our roads, energy, and water systems, which are the very lifelines of our economy and communities. Importantly, I note that this report does not just diagnose the risks. It sets out context-specific policy recommendations and proposes a disaster risk finance framework to strengthen our ability to plan for, absorb, and recover from shocks. This work, as I see it, relates to, or directly relates to my government's and ministry's efforts to develop Fiji's first ever national disaster risk financing policy in partnership with the World Bank and the Asian Development Bank. We are making steady progress to get the whole of our national budget climate and disaster approved. That is ensuring that climate risk is mainstreamed in each new investment that the government undertakes. In a country such as ours, which is climate vulnerable, disaster risk is not an option we can delay. And disaster financing is even more important that we can't delay. It is the seawall that must be built before the tide rises. This policy will give Fiji the financial tools and strategies to ensure that when the next disaster strikes, and we know, all of us in the Pacific know that it will, our response will be swift, our recovery will be strong, and our development path will remain on course. That is why we are committed to strengthening and scaling up our contingent financing arrangements, ensuring that when disaster strikes, resources are not only available, but immediately deployable. For example, we have a standby concessional loan facility of roughly $72 million with Japan for any future needs for disaster recovery and rehabilitation. And we are also looking at how we can build these contingencies. The Pacific Resilience Fund that the Pacific Island countries have decided to establish, based in Tonga, we are targeting an additional $500 million so that is available to the Pacific Island countries to localize climate finance, to build communities and ensure that they are resilient. We have expanded our uptake on innovative parametric insurance products on a smaller scale, at a micro level, to deliver quick and predictable payouts to support emergency response and recovery of communities, of families. So these are not just financial tools, they are lifelines, instruments that allow us to act swiftly, protect the most vulnerable, restore essential services without destabilizing our fiscal position or delaying our development momentum. Our coordination across sectoral ministries guarantees timely and accurate post-disaster needs and damage assessments. That's something that we are doing very effectively. We know too well that delays in these assessments slow our response and limit our ability to mobilize timely external support. With the ongoing reforms, we will also enable the establishment of clear, sector-specific disaster risk finance disbursement plans, ensuring that funds flow rapidly to where they are needed most to restore critical infrastructure, protect livelihoods, and safeguard essential health and education services. So we fully support the development of the regulations and guidelines under Fiji's Climate Change Act that exist to support evidence-based decision-making, budgeting, and risk-informed public investment decisions. As Minister of Finance, I know that the importance of proactively integrating risk into public financial planning is all too clear. What is, however, not perhaps less clear is how to address both current and future anticipated financing needs given our rapidly changing risk context and limited access to concessional and grant-based financing. I reiterate again that these challenges speak to the broader questions around existing development financing architecture and our ongoing efforts to increase access to finance. And we've talked about this, whether it's our participation in COP, whether in other forums, Financing for Development Conference. We've talked about how there's a need to relook at our financing, global financing architecture. But at the domestic level, the message is clear. We must continue to reorient our planning and macroeconomic framework around the understanding of risk. Our challenges may be specific, but they are no means unique. This initiative provides us with a valuable platform to exchange knowledge, share technical innovations, and learn from one another's experiences. We recognize the strong complementarity between the initiative and other reforms that we are advancing, particularly those aimed at strengthening our early warning systems and climate resilient measures. I think this workshop is important. As I said, I especially found time to come to this workshop. It reminds me of my past engagements as an academic. Workshops are important. Sometimes they just result in reports and recommendations for the next workshop. But I do hope that this workshop will not just discuss, it will help you to design and also to think about how you can implement those, we have our National Development Plan, and we, for the first time in our development planning history, we've actually designed implementation books for each ministry. So we're saying, yes, we've got our plan, We've got our agenda. We've done the workshops. It's time for implementation, time for action. And I do hope that what will come out of this workshop, based on what people have done before, their frameworks, there are strategies that are in place, but I hope that this workshop will build on that and come up with good practical outcomes and commitments. So once again, I thank the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, the Asian Disaster Preparedness Center, and all of you contributors and our participants from the Pacific and abroad. A very warm welcome to Fiji, and I hope that you will have a productive 2 days, is it? 2 days workshop. Thank you once again for the invitation. Nava Lebu. And Dhanyawad.